Hello and welcome. I'm Keegan Hirst, and this is the Hirst Locker, the podcast for men who want to build an incredible body, a rock-solid mindset, and unstoppable confidence. It's for men who want to live life on their terms and live it to their full potential. I've helped hundreds of men transform their lives, giving them the knowledge, the tools, and the self-belief to help them smash through the glass ceiling that stopped them from achieving their dreams. And I want to do the same for you. Now we're going to focus on physical, mental and emotional health, things that affect us as gay men so that we can live life on our terms, build the body that we want and feel confident living that life. I'm going to help you cut through the noise and confusion to give you the confidence and clarity to take action and build the best version of yourself, to give you complete control of your body, your mindset, your habits and ultimately your life. So let's get to it. Hello and welcome to the Hirst Locker. We are back. We had a little bit of a hiatus, Christmas, New Year, all that jazz. But I wanted to come back and speak with my hands as I always do. If you listen to this on a podcast, then you don't get to see the beauty of me speaking with my hands. It's been commented on numerous times. So I just thought I'd get there in front of all you lot. So there you go. This week, I wanted to talk about habits. I wanted to talk about a few things actually. What I want to do with the Hirst Locker is just abandon structure, abandon reason. Let's just have a conversation. And I say let's have a conversation, but I realize I'm on my own. So I'm just gonna have a conversation with myself and pretend that, I don't know, I'm waffling. Anyway, I want to cover a few different things rather than just cover one topic. There's some stuff that I've got written down here that I want to cover. Habits. I wanted to talk about living with someone because I am currently living with someone. My other half, I wouldn't say my better half, my other half has moved in. We are living together. It's very fresh. It was this weekend. And then I just wanted to talk to you about a couple of things that I'm doing because as a coach, as someone of some level of notoriety, I think it's important to practice what you preach, and it's also important to share your experiences because I've had it with coaches, with mentors, where you put people on a pedestal and actually nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's making it up as they go along. Everybody. And I tell my kids that all the time. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never got this far in life before. And tomorrow I won't have got that far either. You get the idea. So, first of all, I wanted to talk about habits because it's January. People want to start good habits and they want to break bad ones. There's always a bit of resistance around habits though. Because people always say, don't habits limit your life? Because if you've got a habit and then you do it and then you break it, you feel like crap. Well, that's not really the gist of what a habit is. Habits are there to actually make your life easier. So rather than limiting you, what habits do is they clear up space and time and mental bandwidth, which is what who doesn't want more of that? I know I certainly do. So habits are really good for minimizing decision fatigue. They're really good for falling back on things when shit goes wrong, because things in life do go wrong, don't they? And you always sink to your standards rather than rise to the level of stress. That's a big thing that they focus on in armed forces. Is that's why you see them doing these trainings and you think, why are they even doing that? Why are they running with super heavy packs on that they don't normally or always have? Why are they always do the worst case stuff? And it's because if you can deal with that, then when shit does hit the fan, you'll be able to deal with what's coming up. And that's why whenever you are looking to build new habits, you should think, what can I do or what can I stick to on my worst days rather than what can I do on my best days? Because not every day is going to be your best day. And it's really important to acknowledge that, because otherwise you're setting the bar too high, you're setting the expectation too high, And ultimately, you're setting yourself up for failure. Then you feel guilty. Then you feel shit. Then you fall into this all or nothing mindset, which I'm going to talk about in next week's episode. You beat yourself up, the negative self-talk, the confidence, the self-esteem go down, and what set out to be a positive experience, a positive change in your life, becomes a negative one that actually sets you back. So what we want to do is we want to set the bar low with habits. We want to appreciate what they're going to do for us. So for me personally, when it comes to, I have the same thing for breakfast every day. I've not in this, people always talk about, I don't want to eat the same thing all the time. I don't know who has got the time, the energy, or the money to eat a different thing for breakfast every day. I don't even think I've got 7 different breakfast options in my head. So when people talk about variety, most of us have the same breakfast and pretty much the same lunch, or we have a couple of things on rotation. So I prep those. That's just a habit. I do it at the weekend, because then when I get into the working week and I'm into, things are going on, working, training, whatever it might be, I don't have to think, what am I having for lunch? What am I having for breakfast? It's already done. I don't have to think about going to the gym. I don't have to think about when am I going to get my step, because there's a habit of doing it. And people always think about habits as well, that they limit your freedom, because just take that example with the food. Or will you have the same thing for breakfast and you have the same thing for lunch? Well, yes, I do, but it gives me freedom then when it comes to like my health. I'm not tight. Habits free you up, because whether you have them or you don't, you're going to be tied to something. So good habits feed into good health, feed into feeling good, being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. I can take my top off at the beach. I can wear what clothes I want to wear. I can rely on my body that I'm not going to get ill, that I'm not going to be out of breath, that I'm not going to be a big sweaty mess when I don't want to be. So I've got freedom there, but I don't necessarily, maybe I'm tied in a little bit with decisions around things. Whereas the other way is, well, do you know what? I can eat what I want. I don't have any structure. I don't have any routines, but I don't like how I look. I don't like how clothes fit me. I don't want to be in photos. I don't want to take my... And then either way, there's an element of getting freedom and giving some semblance of something, variety in this case, up. And I would much rather do that and feel good about it. So when it comes to building habits and breaking habits, there's loads of different research on it. There's loads of different books on it. A book that I would definitely recommend on habits is Atomic Habits by a guy called James Clear. He's really, really good, and he breaks building habits up, or breaking bad habits down into four different parts. You want to make it simple, you want to make it seen, you want to make it easy, and you want to reward. He goes like those. So think about simple things like you want to go to the gym in the morning. You need to remove as many barriers as possible. So get your training kit out the night before. Have your shoes by the door. Make sure that the gym is on the way to, if you're going to work straight after, make it an easy one. Make it a gym that you enjoy. Little things like that make it easier. And then if you want to break a bad habit, make it more difficult. So for me, like we have a biscuit tin and we have a sweet tub in the kitchen, and they're dead easy to get to. It's easy. I walk in, I open it up, I have a few sweets, which is fine. But at the minute I'm getting ready for a photo shoot, I don't want to be doing that. So all I've done is move those into the garage, and it's literally decreased me going in there 100%. I don't go in because it's too far out of the way. I can't be asked. I don't really want it. It's just like a boredom thing. And it's just a habit. It's just something that I've got used to. When I walk past it, I go in, I open it up. So just moving it out of the way, making it more difficult, because I don't have an emotional attachment to it or a need to it. So with habits, I've rattled on for a bit there, haven't I? But read Atomic Habits, 4 things: make it seen, make it simple, make it rewarding. I can't remember the other one I've just said, but you get it. James Clear, Atomic Habits, read that. And don't think that habits are going to imprison you, because a lack of habits, lack of routine are going to take away your freedom and imprison you a hell of a lot more than being healthy. Being, if you don't have good financial habits, then you're not going to have freedom because you're not going to have money to spend. If you don't have good, healthy habits, you're not going to have freedom because you're not going to have a body that you like, or your health is going to fail you. If you don't have good habits around communication, then you're not going to have freedom inside your relationships. So habits are the cornerstone of success, because you need three things for a result. You need consistency, you need effort, and you need time. And habits allow you to build consistency. So from habits to cohabiting. See how I did that? That was a good one, right? Segue. Joel has moved in this weekend. So we are, the spare room currently looks like a shanty town, because it's full of boxes and making room and, living with people. Different when you live with friends to living with a spouse, though, isn't it? We're into that. We've got, I think when you venture into a new area of life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's health and fitness, whether it's a new job, whether it's a new friendship, whether it's a new hobby, whether it's the next phase of a relationship, like living together, there's lots of things that can go wrong. And you should expect that. Like, I'm not expecting everything to go right here. I'm not expecting everything to be on the money 100%. It's going to be a learning curve. And like any relationship that you've got in your life, it all boils down to communication and learning how someone wants to communicate, when they want to communicate, when they don't want to communicate, how they don't want to communicate. That kind of stuff is really important, because you are going to tread on each other's toes. You are going to do things that irritate each other in any relationship, whether it's a friend, whether it's a spouse. I'm sure I irritate my clients sometimes, and I'm sure, I can tell you sometimes they irritate me, but it's about fixing it up. It's about communicating that to work around it so that everybody's happy. I genuinely believe that any two people can get on, right? They can find a way to function in a relationship. Because I think if you put two people, even two people who hated each other, on a desert island, eventually they would figure out a way to communicate and get on. But they would do that because they're forced to do it, because there's no one else. You can think, like, in society, there's so much choice and diversity. We can, if we don't like someone, we don't have to think, I need to make this work, unless it's in the position where, like, they're your boss or something. And even then, it's only on a professional basis. Whereas, like, if you're in that situation, you would have to make it work. You would have to talk it out. You would have to communicate. And I suppose that's what happens when you move in with somebody. Because it's really easy this is what a lot of people do with relationships, is they throw the towel in, don't they? Or it's not quite going, it's not everything that I thought it was going to be. It's not meeting my expectations. And rather than chat about it and communicate through it, they just can it. So, listen, I've had numerous relationships, and my communication skills have not been the best, and neither of theirs, quite frankly. But I think that's why I'm really excited about me and Joe living together, because our communication is really good. So I think communication, they always say, don't they, communication is key in a relationship. And I think being willing to learn, being willing to receive feedback. They do say feedback is a breakfast of champions, but it is difficult to sometimes hear things and to not. So for me personally, I turn everything into a contest. Well, you did this. Well, what about when you did that? Rather than just dealing with one thing at a time. So, I think, communicating. That's good. That's the big thing. Appreciating that it's a learning curve, that it's not going to be perfect, progress, not perfection. That's what I always say to clients. One thing I always need to remind myself to do is take my own advice. What would I say to a client in my situation? That is what I always try to do. I don't always do it very well, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, progress is what we're after, not perfection, because perfection is unattainable. But we can aim for excellence. Um, use it as building. Use it as a learning curve, because it is a foundation for all relationships. I mean, I might come back to you in 2 weeks and told you that I've throttled him. So we'll see how that goes, won't we? And then I wanted, then it'll be the end of January in 2 weeks. So how is your January going? January. I think January is a good subject on its own. It's such a weird month. Everyone's like on a hangover, come down from the high of Christmas and having time off. And then there's all sorts of stuff going on. There's people who are on new health kicks. There's people who are making changes to how they live, how they do things. So for me personally, I'm saying no to pretty much everything. That's my go-to rule or response is no when someone asks me to do something. And a little mental framework that I'm currently using and you will, I'm sorry if I've said no to you for going for a coffee. The framework that I'm using is, would I do this tomorrow? And if the answer is no, then I'm not doing it in 2 weeks' time, a month's time, 6 months' time. If someone says, do you want to come to this museum about origami? I'm not going to want to do that tomorrow. So I'm not going to say yes to doing it in 6 months. I'm just not that into origami. I'm sorry. So that's, I think, January is a weird month, isn't it? Dry January, health kicks, people changing their behaviours, people who are gone the other way and are just on the piss all the time, just to get through January, because it is cold, it's wet, especially if you're in the UK. I mean, it's snowing today where I am, so it is miserable. But I think the thing to remember about January is, and I'm going to talk about all or nothing mentality next week, like I said, but people talk about getting off to a flyer, getting everything right, everything's got to be perfect. And then when something isn't quite right, or they don't quite get the result that they were expecting, probably wrongly, then everything goes to shit. Something I've said to my clients is that nobody is in the best shape in January. Nobody's got everything figured out in January. Nobody is hitting their straps and peaking in January. Nobody's got a beach. No one's beach body is ready in January. Very few people's beach bodies are ready in January. But there are a million beach bodies that will never happen because of how people behave in January. They go in too hard, too early. It's not sustainable. They think there's no way I can keep this up for 6 months. So what's the point? They fuck it off. I was thinking about swearing then, and I did. Yeah, do you know what? It's me. It's my podcast. I can do what I want. So they can it off. That didn't sound right. They bin it off. They bin it off. They don't do it, and it gets and they don't get the result that they want. So remember that. Keep that in mind when it comes to January. You don't have to have everything figured out. You don't have to be peaking. You don't have to be hitting your straps, and you certainly don't need to have everything figured out and be 100%. Use January as a foundation, as a springboard to go up through the gears and build good habits, which is something that I've been doing. And I wanted to finish this new little rambling version of this podcast with things that I'm doing at the minute. So I am doing dry January. I'll tell you for why. Because for a while, I've never really questioned my relationship with alcohol. I've just taken it as, well, I've just never questioned it. Who does? But towards the end of the last year, loads of stuff started coming up on my social media feeds about people being sober and the impact it was having. And I thought, is this a sign from the universe? And I guess I was sober curious. And then I was reading an article the other day, and it was talking about the 99% sober lifestyle that apparently people are doing there. They only drink for like special occasions. And I thought, yeah, I'm down for that. Because I'm not a big drinker. I am a big drinker when I have a drink, but I don't drink often. And I said, like, I don't drink through the week or anything. So I just thought, yeah, when I've been drinking, have I been drinking to excess? And do I need to drink? And obviously I've got a photo shoot, so it's in line with my goals. So I'm giving dry January a go. I'm trying not to be that person who mentions it every other sentence. Did I tell you I'm doing dry January? Did I tell you I'm doing dry January? Did I tell you I'm doing dry January? I'm halfway through dry January. Dry January. So I'm doing that. I said I'm saying no to nearly everything. That has been really good. I do say this to my clients all the time. I highly recommend it because towards the end of last year, when I finished work for Christmas, I still had something on every day because I'd committed to something socially, even not necessarily drinking or spending money or whatever, but I just committed to everything and I didn't get any time to myself. And then I was ill from New Year's, and then I didn't get anything but time to myself. And I felt so much better for saying no to everything and not overcommitting, not spreading myself too thin and not feeling rushed. So that I would highly recommend. I've also got back into journaling and meditating, and already they have a huge impact on my mental health personally. I use Headspace for meditating. When I journal, I just write for like 5 minutes on a morning. I write 3 things that I'm grateful for. And this is something from a book called, I can't remember what it's called. It's called not the Happiness Hypothesis, although that is a good book. Something about happiness. And they basically did a study where they said what was the differentiator for people that worked hard. And it was staff that were happy. And they just said, when you're happy, you're more efficient, you're more productive, you're more energized, you get more done. So, and the best way they said to be happy, without getting into a full podcast about being happy and chasing happiness, I'm not a hedonist, was practicing gratitude. So every morning when I journal, I write down, and not like, oh, I'm glad I've got my kids. I'm glad that I'm healthy. I'm glad the sun shone today. I'm glad that nuclear bombs didn't go off. Not like wishy-washy shit, like actual things that you're grateful for. You know, yesterday I was grateful that I went out for a really nice pub lunch, and I got to sit by an open fire, and it was really cute. So actual specific things that you're grateful for, I just write down anything that's going on in my head, like how am I feeling, is there anything I'm worried about for the day ahead, what do I want to get done? And then on an evening, I just have like a bit of a reflection. What went well today, what didn't, what am I looking forward to tomorrow? And that's it. I just have a little notepad. I have my goals in it at the front that I want to achieve through the year. And so I see them every day because there's no point in having goals that you don't see. Journaling, meditating, like I say, using Headspace, and just focusing on what do I want to do for me. And that might sound selfish, but it's not, because if I'm in a good spot, if I'm healthy, if I'm happy, I am so much more present. And then when, the kids need me, when clients need me, when Joel needs me, when my friends need me or want me, I'm there, and I don't resent it because I've done something for me and I've worked on my happiness and where I'm at, and that has a huge impact going forward. So I would absolutely recommend focusing on that, focusing on gratitude, focusing on saying no, journaling and meditating. For me, I've had a huge impact in my own personal and mental and emotional development over the last 5 years. Absolutely put a lot of success at their doorstep. So yeah, that's it. I'm done waffling at you now. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please share it. Please share it on YouTube. Please share it like it, share it, comment on it, send it to your friends. Do the social media things that you know what to do. Subscribe, like, all that kind of jazz. I'll be nailing an episode of this every single week. So keep your eyes peeled. I hope you've enjoyed it. Stay safe and don't act, eat, and drink at the expense of how you want to look and feel, because you'll regret it. See you later.